Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I have a full EJ panel interview. This is gonna be the craziest of interviews. And what I'm gonna do right now is have everyone introduce themselves. So we're gonna start with Savannah. Savannah, go for it.
Hi, I'm Savannah. I'm an ENTJ jumper, and my type is TESE-FM, blast, play, sleep, consume. Rob, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Rob. I'm a ENFJ, double feminine, Fe-Se, play, consume, sleep, blast. Julia?
Hi, I'm Julia. I am an ESFJ, double feminine, Fe-Si, blast, play, consume, sleep. Heather?
Yeah, I'm an ESTJ, double masculine, TESI, blast, play, sleep, consume. Maggie.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I'm an ESFJ jumper, so Fe, Ne, play, blast, sleep, consume, double feminine, and I'll pass to Nina.
Hey, I'm Nina. My pronouns are they, them, and my type is double feminine, ESTJ, TENE, play, consume, sleep, blast.
Oh, go ahead and go.
Sorry, my brain died.
You're fine. Hi, my name is Natalie. I'm an audio ENFJ, and that's Fe-Ne, blast, play, sleep, consume, blast.
All right. I think, did everyone go already? Yeah, we did. Okay, sweet. So we are missing one more ENTJ standard. She's supposed to come whenever she gets a chance. She got stuck in the middle of nowhere right now. So thanks everyone for coming, and we're gonna talk about.
Okay.
What was that?
I said she'll be okay.
Yeah,
Just wanted to let everybody know.
So we're gonna be talking about your similarities and differences, and we'll also have everyone here take turns asking questions to your fellow EJ here. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is the similarities. So you're all EJs, and from my understanding with EJs is that you are all deciders. So people problems is going to be like the biggest problem, and it's going to be like a swing between like doing things for other people or killing yourself for the tribe, and then being like super selfish. So it's like a back and forth kind of deal. So does anyone want to talk about their experience first? I know this like Maggie said before, it's gonna be a Spider-Man meme because everyone's gonna be pointing at each other, but someone has to go first, guys. Someone has to go first. All right. Yeah, you can't hide because I can see all of you, so someone has to go first. Who wants to go first?
DJs, ready, set, talk about yourself.
Yeah. So who wants to talk about themselves first?
How about this? Can we go ahead and talk about other people? So like one of us could all talk about Maggie. Maggie can talk about Rob. Can we do that?
Sure.
One
why
time,
don't we warm
Rob.
up first? Come on, guys. Someone has to talk about you first. All right. I'm gonna pick someone.
Right, sure.
I'm not sure
I'll
what
go
the
first.
question was.
I tried to say no. I'm not.
Well,
gonna do that.
okay, so I'll say that before I got typed, I knew I was an EJ. So I definitely had these swings pretty prominently, and I think everyone in my life could tell you that I have EJ problems. I can tell you that I definitely look to the tribe to help me figure out my own FI. And I used to gather friends that would like track things I like and help me figure out my DI. It was like a emotional support person. And then if there were times where I felt wronged or hurt, then I felt justified to kind of just go I don't mean to say no contact, but it was just like hard to get a hold of me, and I would just like ignore everybody and just be in this like consume sleep mode basically, where I was like, I get to do what I want and no one can stop me. And I'm exaggerating, okay? This was all in my head, but that's how I felt. And then I would be ready to argue with anyone who told me I couldn't, but no one's telling me I can't do that. And I don't have to go in this whole like mode where I'm like hard to get a hold of. So it was like a very slow process of like, hey, okay, calm down. You don't have to act that way. Everyone is okay with you doing what you want every once in a while, just like everybody else in the world. Does that sum it up?
Yeah, no, it's good. So I was actually curious to see, like, cause half of you guys have FET, like the TI swing, and then half of you has the FI swing. So Savannah, I think you talked about, but yours is feminine FI, so it's like it's
Yeah.
So you're not like as aggressive, I guess, with it. It's more like I don't know what's going on with that feminine FI when the swing happens.
It's slippery, it moves. It's like, wasn't that your favorite last week? But it's new now. It's today. I'm a new FI. No, I'm just kidding, but it feels that way sometimes.
I relate to that.
Savannah, you said you seek out people that help you process your DI. What does that look like for FI? Is that like, is it okay that I'm liking this? Are you asking people stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Or
Okay.
it can be like, I will literally be like, would I like that food? Do you think I would like that restaurant? Is this outfit me? You know?
Okay.
What, should I get bangs? I mean, it's stupid, but like, it's kind of on those same lines of like, someone tell me, is this really me? Because I will like go off the deep end and it's not me at all and it's silly. It's like costumey. Or, I mean, it includes like, I don't know. There's values to it too. I'm kind of going more fluffy because it's safe. But, there's like, spiritualism or I don't know. It's beyond just like, is that my favorite color, guys? But it's along the same lines.
So Heather, you also have feminine FI. Do you want to talk about your feminine FI? I mean, you probably don't, but let's I mean, yeah, can you talk about how you personally experience it? Because it's very similar to Savannah, I think, like, because you both have like masculine TE and feminine FI, so that's gonna be like the swing. So how do you personally, like, how does that happen? What happens to you?
Yeah, I don't think that I mean, usually because I have masculine SI, experience is usually what informs me about things and informs me about what I like and don't like. I don't tend to pick that up from other people. I usually tend to pick it up from experience, but I don't tend to know what I like until I've actually experienced it. And I go, oh, I really like that or don't like that. I do understand though the consume last where sometimes I am, well, not sometimes, all the times I'm usually kind of surprised when people say certain things about me. I'm not super surprised if it's negative because I've already thought that, but like when it's pleasant or nice, I go, oh, that's how you see me. So it's more that, and I go, oh, and that'll click a little bit more into, it's more how I'm presenting myself necessarily than, whether I like something, don't like something. Probably more in that vein, if that made any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I think you're kind of describing like EJs can accept insults but not compliments, which is very weird. So we'll talk about that later on. Who wants to go?
No, we don't have to. I'm just kidding.
Well, why don't we finish the
EFI? I'll go next. Yeah. Well, I definitely relate to what Savannah was saying about the sort of going into mope mode, except I don't have as much of a sense of like being ready to defend myself. Instead, I have a sense of constantly worrying that I'm going to be called a bad person, and then it's almost more like I'll have to give in, and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to not be allowed to do what I want again. And I've been in sort of a demon swing on and off for a while now, and I've kind of been living in mope mode, and it's just like a very partly because I have like a lot of social anxiety and just a lot of anxiety in general, and so I actually kind of suppress my play. So I just live the life of a mope, and it's like very distressing, but also I do have that strong FI pull, and it's masculine, so I'm very aware of like, no, I want to do this, I don't want to do this, please don't make me do this, etc.
Right, you're also a glass lizard, so it's like very obvious to you. So that's interesting. I'm gonna pass this to Rob because Rob is a fellow glass lizard, but with TI. So kind of curious what's going on with that.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like I'm pretty aware of whether something makes sense to me or not, but then I'm like second guessing whether I'm actually right about that. So it's like I'm able to sort of like process and see that through, but then I feel like I need to kind of go and really double check like all the time. And I have like Savannah was talking about her support system. I feel like I kind of have that for my TI in terms of like the people I really trust to help me make sure that like the thoughts I'm thinking are actually I'm not like missing any steps or something, you know. Which before I got typed, I think I thought of the steps that I was taking as kind of like SI blocks or something. But I guess it's just my TI and trying to understand like how do I actually like get from point A to point B in a logical fashion, where and I'm not like just going off the deep end. So I'm always like checking in with the tribe to make sure that I'm like not doing something crazy. Because that's just like my responsibility to not be like some like they talk about like the kind of crazy IP that's just like trying to figure something out that nobody actually cares about. It's like I'm really like afraid that I'm going to be doing something like that, right? It's like, wait, people still care about this, right? Okay, I'll go back. And so it's a lot of back and forth in that sort of vein. So it's like I use my play a lot to just sort of see like what do people care about, just to make sure that I'm using my TI on the right stuff. So I feel like I'm using it a lot, but it's for tribe things that I feel responsible towards, right? So.
And then Rob, you're always peacocking as an NT nerd. So even though you're lead SF, yeah. So.
My whole life is a lie.
All right. Who wants to go next? So we got Julia. There we go.
Oh yeah, I'll go next. So I'm just like comparing what Rob said to what I said, because I'm gonna take what someone else said and jump off of it, because that's an easier thing to do. But it's interesting. So Rob, you said you kind of trust like what you know to be true and what you're thinking, but you kind of like second guess it all the time. I feel like that way as well. I feel like I know what I think all the time, but then sometimes I do second guess it. I kind of thought that was my consume, my NT consume, where I'm like aware of kind of the NT things that are going on in my head, but then like I'll second guess them. But also when I ping the tribe, it's usually specifically for decisions. I'll ping for other stuff to like process stuff, but a lot of it is for decisions. When I go and like have to consult the tribe, it's for decisions, because like I just literally don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to do. I forgot what I want. I don't know what to do. So I have to go and ping for that. Like Rob, it kind of sounds like you might be pinging the tribe more for like how to do something. And I feel like I don't ping for that as much. It's specifically like, should I do this? Should I not do this? I don't know. So that's like a big thing of like when I'll go and ping the tribe. That's like,
I feel like for me, it's tied a little bit to the OI in terms of like, is this a good path to be going down? Like, should I actually do this?
Okay.
Because like this settling into a single spot feels like very uncomfortable. So I'm like perfectly fine just kind of like figuring some different things out and going, okay, this makes sense. But then when it actually needs to settle into something, I'm like, oh, so like the final decision and stuff, that's where I can have some trouble.
Okay.
Oh, Nina, your microphone sounds like a robot.
Yeah.
Your audio is distorted. Interesting.
I really want to know what they
that
say.
sounded
though.
better.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Your audio.
You're on mute, or you're no audio.
Yeah, no audio. You're not muted though.
Yeah.
But maybe your microphone volume is down. I don't know, because like. I hear like robotic stuff like happening. Like, yeah. There you go.
They are the NT.
Yeah, she's NT, right? She's our token NT.
They're awesome.
All right, let's see. Yeah, keep talking so we can see if you like. Yeah, she's still a robot.
No.
Oh my god, she became a real NT now. Like, anyways, yeah. So Nina, you can try to fix it, and then we'll maybe pass it to someone, like while you're trying to fix it, and then we'll come back to you again. Is that cool? Yeah, I don't know why it sounds like a robot.
I heard sure.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to you, Nina. Okay, just maybe fix your like microphone or something. Like,
You can try to leave and come back in.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, we'll see if that
Turn
works.
it off.
We want to hear what you have to say, though, Nina. We really do.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll wait for Nina. Why don't we go with Maggie? Because Maggie, I think, wanted to go next. So Maggie, go for it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly relate to what Julia and Rob are saying. And I think I was even talking about this with Natalie not too long ago, that like at work, I keep going to the tribe because you got to tell me what the priority is, but like, what do you need? Like, what can I help you with? Like, I don't care about the product at the end of the day, but I'm realizing now it's a swing because I need them to tell me what it is. And when they're like, I don't know, vaguely this. And I'm like, okay, well, when do you want it by? I don't know, whenever. And I'm just like, it's not a lot of specifics. All right, fine. And then I go on my own. And then I work on my own and I won't go and like consult anyone. And I've noticed a lot of people have told me that over time that like, I don't ask for help or I don't ask for like questions. So I think that's kind of maybe where the swing is. It's just like, well, if you're not going to tell me what it is, then I got to go through all the steps and figure out all the possibilities and find out what you guys need because you can't tell it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's like what you guys are also experiencing.
What you're saying, you have to go and ping the tribe to like find out what they want, like to get the FE. You mean, are you talking about gathering the FE?
The priority, yeah.
What is the priority of this? Like they'll be like, I think we want something specific like this, but I'm like, but like why? Like what is this serving? Because like it's going to narrow down like how I deliver it. How do is this a presentation? Is this going to be, do we need some like just like like kind of like what Julia, what you're saying, like what decisions need to be made, like how to like navigate this. It's like that. And it's just like, but I need your input, like, so I can actually do this. And if I have to figure this out on my own, then I need to figure out what are all the possible ways that I could do this, figure out all the work of how to do it so I can figure out which one is the best one to do to deliver to you guys to make sure that it's something you'll be happy with. But then like, I'm doing all this work on my own. I disappear forever. And they're like, where are you? What are you doing? Which at work is like kind of dangerous. I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean. If you're talking about like pinging on the Fe-Ne kind of to like figure out what people actually want, like I do that too, because I feel like when I'm going to do anything for the tribe, I need to know like their actual motives, like why they're actually doing that. And it's kind of hard to gather someone's NF, like to be perfectly honest. It is, because like no one wants to share that shit. So when they share with you, you're like, oh fuck you, I know that's a lie. God
you
damn
should
it.
just be double activated on your saviors like me. Then it's really easy to pick up people's NF.
So I was going to say that this like, what do you want type thing that Fe is doing, it's like overdoing that so it can underdo TI. So it's like, I don't want to figure out everything. I just want to figure out exactly the thing that you want so I can like be done.
Well, because it's like, I feel like I need that to know what I want. And I'm like, don't you know you have to tell me that, because that's the only way I figure out my own TI. I have to ping off of the FE. So you have to tell me. Otherwise, how the hell am I going to know?
It could in general be an EJ thing too in general, because I do that as well. Like there's so many times when I had to create projects for people and I would say, please tell me all the parameters that you want. What are you looking for exactly? Because the thought of me doing some type of presentation and it's not what they want would just kill me. So can you just at least give me some parameters, some in general what you're looking for, so that I kind of know. It's not that I can't probably go do it on my own, but I would rather than be happy at the end of the day. And if I don't know what you want, then that stresses me out. So
yeah, a big thing for me, like being consumed last, is if I'm finally going to switch into my TI and work on something, like I can't handle if like there's an update that needs to be made later on. So I want to get all of that information, consume it on the front end, and then get to blast play working on it, and then consume what they think after I'm done.
Yeah, I like that.
Makes a lot of sense.
Nina, how's your thing going?
Let's see. Am I normal?
Yes,
Yay.
yes. You're not an NT
We missed
robot.
you.
Blaster thumbs up.
Yeah.
You're peacocking again, Rob. The blast
I
last
can see
guy.
the blaster thumbs up too.
That's all the blast you're gonna get.
Very true. Very true.
Nina, you had a question earlier for someone?
I don't think it was a question. I think I was relating to Rob's thing about the fear of narrowing down. I actually, before I got typed, I definitely saw the DE and specifically the TE from the beginning, but I was also fully prepared to accept that I was an observer because I have a lot of observer problems and I really resonate with the idea of like feeling stuck on a path. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know this is about like the EJ and the decider stuff, but yeah, I definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
It always feels like I need to keep talking after I'm done. It feels like there's an awkward silence and I'm supposed to fill it, but I'm all out of words.
You're doing great, Sweaty.
You gotta add a blaster, and back to you, Kendrick.
Yeah.
And that's it. I
Alright,
mean, I have
guys.
a lot of
Blast
consume
plays here.
blast problems
Fill
that
the
seem like
emptiness somehow.
What's that?
We've got a lot of blast plays here, so I think we'll fill the emptiness somehow.
Yeah. We'll be fine, guys. Like, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go to one of you guys. So who had a prepared question? So who wants to go first for the prepared question stuff? I should stop asking.
I'll go first.
Here we go. Natalie, sweet. Let's go.
Okay. You're welcome. So for my info dom, is it just you, Julia, or is there another one that I'm missing?
Oh yeah, I think
Are
it's
you
just
the only
me.
one? So
Cool,
like,
just for me,
Kendrick.
great.
nice to see you, dude. Thanks for showing up. We needed one.
Yeah.
Thanks for meeting our quota. Sorry, I'll stop joking. But so one thing that I've like heard from a couple of other like info dom EJs is that they feel a lot more decider-y because like one way or another they're lacking like self-perspective, I guess you could say, either that from the tribe play or from self-sleep. So do you feel like that rings true for you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily more decider-y in particular, but it feels like it's more so on decisions. You know, it feels like I have a harder time on decisions compared to the energy doms, at least as far as I can tell. Because with sleep last, it's like I just like the things that I want to do in my life are just like a big mystery to me. Like no idea until suddenly I'm in that situation and then I like it or I don't like it. I'm like, oh, well, look at that. In hindsight, I can see that clearly, obviously, this was the thing that I want to do and that was the thing that I didn't know, or didn't want to do, but I don't know until it like smacks me in my face, you know?
Yeah.
So like
that makes
literally
sense.
decided to do something in 5 minutes is like really hard. So yeah, on decisions, it's really hard. But one of the things I have noticed, and I don't know if this is a real pattern or not, but one of the things I've wondered is I've kind of been noticing that like other people's perceptions of me, I think don't bother me as much as the energy doms. I don't know if
You triggered me with that one. I got a little tense whenever you said that. I was like,
oh really? Yeah.
not other people's perspectives of me.
Yeah. So like I don't care as much about like you know, like what people think of me. I mean, obviously I care, like I'm an EJ, you know, but sometimes I wonder if that's harder for the energy doms than it is for me, whereas decisions for me feel like the literal worst thing in the world. I don't know if you guys feel that as well.
So like for me personally, it's very much like because I am missing information in a certain sense, like consume last, I like am very worried about people's perceptions of me because I know I'm missing something, but I don't know what it is. So like the automatic default is, okay, everyone hates me. Like I can just operate on that low level. Everyone hates me and I'm just working to prove that like they should like me.
Yeah, where I'm like, I'm actively gathering other people. I'm like, You got to tell me. You got to tell me. You got to tell me. I have to gather that information. So like, I know it. I have it in my bag.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely worry about it. I'm a director at a facility, and so I have people that, and it's a position where things keep shifting and changing, like CEOs keep getting fired and stuff keeps changing all the time, which is stressing me out. So I'm always worried that the perception of whether I'm competent or not, or whether I know what I'm doing or not, and that consume last thing just kills me. For sure, because it'll come up and bite me, something I wasn't paying attention to, and it'll just pop up and I go, oh crap, I didn't account for that. And it's just like, oh my gosh, the first reaction is, I wonder what other people think. Like, that's just my first reaction is, I wonder what did other people notice that? You know, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, this is interesting because some of what Julia said, I thought that, okay, because I sometimes feel like my decisions have to be permanent and have longevity. So for me, committing to a decision, I am thinking that I am representing all the tribe. And so I thought that was because I was like a masculine tribe person, but it sounds more like Julia's answer too, so I'm not sure. But for me, decisions are hard because I think that I am making them for everyone and for the future of our tribe. So they should be permanent, or I'm terrified to commit to it. Fun. So fun.
Is that your masculine NI also? It's like you said, it's like permanent, right? Like you can't change.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have double masculine blast. So it's NI. So I think if I'm going to commit to this, it has to be like a 10-year shelf life or something. I don't know.
No, trust me, I get what you're saying with like the double activated NI. It's like, if I like, why would I do something in the moment right now for myself? Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, if it's not going to affect me in like 5 weeks, like, why would I do it today?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I feel kind of that way as well. And for me, it just feels like the swing of DE to DI is just like, once I actually do make a decision for myself, it's like, I'm weird about it. So I think obviously if I make a decision, it has to be forever, right? And I can't be calm about it. Be like, well, if I find out it's a terrible decision tomorrow, then like, fine, you know, I can't do that just because I'm not like calm with it.
Am I like ready to defend it? Do I have to have 6 reasons why I'm doing this thing for myself? No, I don't.
People are gonna quiz me on this, right? Because people care, right?
Right. Oh. I was thinking about how those decisions feel like they're forever. And it's like, am I going to do this thing or am I not going to do this thing? And it's like, if I did it or not is forever. I don't know. Like it's real to some degree, right? But I guess it is just like, okay, maybe it didn't go your way this time. Just keep moving, right? That's how you get through it. So I try not to I just try to stop myself from overthinking some of these decisions sometimes. So that's my best way out.
It doesn't help sometimes too when we're sitting here tracking the tribe and seeing that how their decisions turned out, whether they turned out well or not well. And so you know, that doesn't help.
You're so right, Heather.
I don't know if I am tracking that.
Well, okay, so like for the Fe perspective, maybe it's not like, did that decision work out for them? It's like, were they happy after they made that decision, or were they upset? Like, did that decision affect their emotional state in a negative way? Because we're also still trying to avoid pain.
I wonder if the energy DOMs are tracking that more than me as well. Do you FEs feel like you're tracking that? Because I feel like maybe. Yeah, you are?
Yeah. So it's like if my friend bought a pair of Doc Martens that were scuffed up, whenever she bought them, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy Doc Martens unless I really want them, because I know that there's like, she was upset that they got scuffed. Like, does that make sense?
It does make sense. And it sounds like a freaking brilliant thing to do if you're going to pay.
You should try it sometime.
It's like that went bad for that person, so I'm going to try and avoid that thing if I can, right?
Yeah, I get that. I think I might be doing that a little bit. Maybe not a lot, but a little bit.
Is that an SE thing? Like it sounds like it's an S. It's like
Oh yeah, mine was definitely an SE thing. Like who the hell gives it who cares about
Oh right, yeah.
Doc
Mine is
Martens?
also an F, yeah.
I
Yeah.
care about Doc
SE
Martens.
does.
I absolutely care about
scuffs.
Doc Martens.
Yes, ma'am.
Nina does. We're good. Let me know how they go.
Maggie, so Natalie said something interesting earlier about like I don't know, it's like something about like the tribe, like you don't know what the tribe like thinks of you, I guess, or like feels about you, so you just think everyone hates you or something. And it could be like a consume last thing, because like Julia said she wasn't tracking that. So I'm like, Maggie, is that something you're also tracking, or is that different? Because Natalie has like SE, right? So it's a little bit different.
No, I do really relate to that. Like, and yeah, like it just seems to be that low hum that just persists. And like, that's just what I just assume. And I don't I don't track it. Like, I don't go, hey, do you hate me? Or do you like me? Where do I stand with you? Like, I just assume everybody hates me. And like, and then my brain, like, my biased brain will look for all the evidence of that and like, will narrow in on that. Yeah. So I think, I don't know, that's my experience with it.
Do the FIs relate to this? Like Nina, Savannah, or Heather? Do you guys relate to that?
Everything just fell out of my head and I kind of forgot what the thing was.
Do you
Yeah, I
think that
freaked out
people
for a
hate
minute.
you?
Oh
Sorry,
yeah,
I freaked out for a sec.
I always think that people hate me. Although one thing that seems to differ from the blasters, and Rob, you can tell me if you relate to this, is that instead of thinking like I'm gonna go all out and try to prove that I'm helpful or that I'm useful or that I'm good in the most active sense, for me it's more like I have a big thing about staying out of the way and or like not causing problems, and I'm much more afraid of, I mean, because I'm like blast last, so I'm like, if I blast, I'm gonna cause problems for the tribe is my fear. And so I'm kind of like, just I sometimes go all in on my consume, and I guess to an extent sleep, but I think it's mostly consume, and so I seem very, very introverted. I was always the quiet kid at school because like I wasn't even playing as much as I wanted, at least not externally. I'm always doing the NT, but I don't always ping as much as I want to, and I've only suppressed it more over the years because I see that the tribe doesn't always like it when I ping. In fact, they often don't like it when people ping, and I'm just so afraid that I'm going to ping and they're going to be like, fuck you. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt that.
I was definitely nodding along to that.
Geez. Oh my God, Dolphin, masculine FIs. Yeah, at the bottom. Oh, geez. Yeah, no, it's good, Nina. I appreciate it. It's awesome. Yeah, you share it more actually. Rob, what do you?
Well, I was saying I do relate to the more like trying to stay out of the way, trying to not necessarily like bang on people too much in terms of like, is this like the direction I want to go down? I don't want to explicitly ask people that, but I also want to figure that out. Because yeah, it feels like not allowed to ask like, is this the direction everybody wants to go in? Like I'm not allowed to just like shift the conversation, but I'll just like I'll overdo play to understand like where people are at and where might be a good path to start going down. And if it's stopped working, switch it up. Like I'm always ready to switch it up, right? So I'm way overdoing that part instead of like actually being like, okay, we need to really go in this direction to get value for everybody. So
all right, I'm gonna ask you guys now about like shame. Okay, so it's I know it's not
my
Freddie
favorite.
said, talk about shame.
yeah so yeah, I know it's not very SF, or whatever, it is what it is, but like, so anyways guys, so half you guys are lead TEs and half you guys are lead FE, so you guys are gonna be like shaming each other by accident, like just pure accident, like you're not doing it on purpose. So the FE shames the FI,
You guys.
the TE shames the TI. So let's talk about this. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Who wants to go first? Like, how does it feel when, like, let's say you have FI, the FE shames you, or if you have TI, the TE shames you? Like, how does it feel? And like, and maybe like, chat with the shamer of the group. I'm not saying you're all shamers. Like I don't know how to say this properly, but anyways.
Point out the person who has shamed you the most, say their name.
Yeah.
Talk about them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I guess I'll go first. Feeling TE shame. I mean, I've definitely felt triggered by the TEs. And it a lot of times it feels like, I mean, it depends on the context, because there can be so many ways in which it can kind of trigger me. You know, it's not one specific way. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down. But a lot of times it's like kind of an overwhelm of like, wait, you just told me 4 things to do and you weren't confident about any of them because you were just like random throwing them out. Like, don't you know I'm relying on you to make a decision here, and I do need to narrow down on like a TI thing, and you're throwing 5 random things at me and like, ah. So there can be that. I guess that's not really shame though. I think
I was going to say that's kind of like, sometimes I'm just like, T doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I'm laughing at the TEs a lot of the time.
Yeah. I think when I felt the most triggered has been like, oh, sorry, Mina.
Sorry. I have an interjection problem, an auditory processing problem where I don't realize you're talking until I'm halfway through my sentence. So sorry about that. I already forgot what I said. So continue.
I do that too. Okay, sorry, keep going.
A lot of times, the times when I've actually been triggered has been the FIs actually in a demon state, kind of using their TE, because I feel like the TE-EJs, if they start to trigger me, if I freak out, they get it instantly. They're like, all right, I'm backing off. They're like, I'm not going to push there, you know, because they're scared too. And even T in the middle, they're kind of like, I don't give a shit. Like, I told you 3 random things and you didn't take them and you like got upset about it. So like, fuck you, I'm out of here, you know? But the FIs, if the FIs kind of do TE in a demon state and it comes from their FI, they're like, no, this was really, I thought about this and I thought this was a really good idea. And it's like my personal thing. So I'm going to keep coming at you with it. And I'm like, okay.
TI is like, call me whenever you've been thinking about this for 5 years. Then I'll come back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, from my standpoint, and I've worked with teams before, sometimes I find the TI who thought about that specific thing, or like, you know, if it's demon, but you're like way deep in it, like that's who I go to. That's who I want to, like, give me the meat and I will like execute it for other people. As long as you're like aware that everybody knows that was your idea and it was excellent and now we're all going to do it. See, that's why I think knowing personality types can help us align better and work together and like respect each other. But okay, sorry, off my soapbox. We're supposed to be shaming people.
I like how Julia changed her voice when she was mimicking the FI earlier.
Did
like,
I?
Yeah. She had like a deeper voice all of a sudden when she was making fun of them. Like, so but
It probably was some masculine FI.
yeah, he was a masculine FI person. So okay, so Julia and Maggie. So what if it's like, I'm not like pointing fingers, but I kind of am. So what if it's like Heather's like ST blast trying to tell you what to do? Because like, you know, like with you guys it's sleep, right? So it's like being competent is like important. So and then like some ST blasters trying to tell you it's like, no, the way you're doing it is wrong. You know, you got to do it like this. Like, how do you?
Why would you assume that I would actually do that?
I'm just like, I had to use someone as an example. So
let's shame Kendrick instead. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
He's a double observer. Double decider. He can take it.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah.
For me, it feels like it's so dependent on the context, you know, and it's so dependent on that individual and how they approach it. Because there are some times when like ST Blast is actually really valuable because it's like, that's great. That really helps me out. So, I mean, again, depending on the context, like the ST Blasters can sometimes give me some really amazing advice. I'm like, shit, I really fucking needed that. But it totally depends. If I'm in a position where I'm able to take it, if it's actually a solution that I'm able to implement, if it happens to, like they happen to be in a good place where it's not like driven by their FI and they're like not, you know, annoyed about it, it just feels so context dependent. So it's really hard to say.
Is it because you're also info dominant? So for you, it's like, oh, more information, great. You know, it's like, it's not like so much of an attack.
No, I think it more depends on if it latches onto something that I already want to do and already can do. And if it happens to like randomly like draw, you know, like whatever happens to randomly latch onto something that I'm insecure about, like no matter what the context is, then it will trigger me because it just happens to latch onto that thing that I'm insecure about. I don't think it's so much info energy down, more so just if it randomly happens to fall into my bucket of something that I'm willing to accept versus fall into my bucket of something I'm unwilling to accept. It's totally random based on how I feel.
Gotcha. Maggie, I guess let's hear Maggie's.
Yeah, like I agree. It is contextual. Like, listen, if you come to me and you have a better argument and like you have better reasons and like, then my TI will fold. No problem. You know what? You're right. I'll buy it. But if you come to me and you tell me like you're just overthinking it, oh my God, I hate that word so much because I'm like, maybe you're underthinking it. That's like my
boom. Tell them. Just kidding.
Well, like, yeah, I would love to. It's just like, but then I feel like I need to come up with reasons to tell them why they're underthinking it, and then I feel like I got to justify the whole thing, and it's just like, okay, they don't know, like they haven't even taken the time to consume it, so it's just like, if they're not even open and receptive to consuming the problem, they're not going to be open and receptive to me telling them how they're wrong. So it does depend.
Right. Is it even worth that conversation? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Don't worry. So I feel like the only time my TI, shut up. The only time my TI has a problem with TE is whenever like someone who's using TE won't even try to see it from my TI perspective. Because if I'm finally willing to come out with my TI, I've been thinking about it for a long time and I have been overthinking it because like that's how I built my whole structure of thought. So like it just hurts so bad whenever like someone TE busy, like really TE doing stuff, just doesn't even listen because it's like
steamrolls the TI. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will 1000% agree with that. That actually is something, really that I've noticed. That even if I ask a TE for like help to do something and I actually do want their advice, if they don't bother to listen to my TI first, then I'm like, you know what? Actually, fuck you. You know? It's because like if it's something that I'm insecure about, you do need it to be validated before you can take in something external. Even if you know you need that external thing, but you need the internal world to be validated first. And so if they don't listen to your TI first, it's like, well, no thanks.
Yeah, and like I feel like, okay, when I build something or if I'm working on something and I have all my TI reasons, they are for a reason. I'm not just randomly picking things. I would like to tailor my solutions to the problem at hand, not to the tool available. Like I want it because I don't want to see this problem. It's just like long-term thinking. I don't want to see this problem again. I want to deal with it once and then we'll be done with it. Like I don't want to have to be like, okay, well, in this context, now I got to rethink this problem and come up with a different solution every time. Like I want to deal with it once and then we're done. Then we can move on.
I like that. Yeah.
Sometimes it does get a little bit tricky whenever like, the ongoing joke is that FI likes things for no reason. But then like FE is like, I have 50 different reasons why I like this one thing. So don't act like I don't have a reason.
So you guys.
So I will say,
go ahead.
Wait, can I bring something up about TI? Because I have noticed this, and maybe you guys can give me some insight. Because sometimes I will fire off a question. I want to hear someone's TI, and they're not ready to blast about it yet. Like it's still building, and they will freeze. And I'm like, oh, do I need to give you time? Can we talk about it? Like, what can I do to help someone
that could
move along the communication of the TI? Because it is very personal and they're maybe still working on conveying something personal,
For me, at least, it feels like it's just a very kind of universal pattern of like, if someone is in a place where they're like really having difficulty, it helps when the other person is in a calm place and can calm them down and can put them in a state where they're like, okay, now I'm calm and now I can do the hard thing, which is like talk about my TI, But it's kind of hard to do that when the other person is like freaking out, I guess.
Yeah, one
Okay.
good thing to do is ask like very leading, simple questions to answer. Because like if you get caught up in a TI trip, you're like thinking about something from like top to bottom, or at least I am. So like if you ask me leading questions that I can give you a little piece at a time, and then slowly connect it together.
Okay, because that's so funny because that's what I've found works, but I don't want to talk to them like they're a child. I want to show very good respect, but I'll be like, was it this? Was it that? And then there's like a little bit of like a head nod and then opening up.
The leading questions are great. Yeah.
Okay.
They get a blaster thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's that FB. We're trying to figure out maybe like what it is that you're valuing, and like I can give you a TI. I don't know if it's really going to help you. Like I need like a little bit more. Like for me, if somebody were to ask me something in a meeting, and I'm like, I'm okay with guessing. Like I'll just okay, well maybe it's this. And sometimes I nail it, home run. Other times where people are like, yeah, no, totally okay, but like, what do you think? Like they just move right on. It's like okay,
You're thinking about what I'm valuing at the same time. Oh, I never thought about that before.
Like why do you want this?
Never even occurred to me.
Like, will it make you happy if I give you this information?
Yeah, like at the end of the day, I don't really care what the solution is. This is meant to help you. How is this going to help you? What do you need this for?
We'll just make you, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like, okay, I've learned some new things.
Yeah, that was a really good question, by the way, Savannah. That was like the best question I think to ask like TI. So that was great.
Thank you.
Let's compliment accepted. Anyway, so let's make let's go with the FIs next. Like so the FE shames the FI, right? So like let's go the opposite. Like so I guess since Savannah's already on the roll. So can you talk about like the FE, like how does like the FE, I guess, make you feel shame or make you feel like vulnerable or, you know, or like, yeah. So what's going on there for you?
So the interesting thing is I feel like the way that I feel shame with FE mostly is more an SF type. So sometimes it's like if there's like a protocol that everyone caught on to and I'm the one wearing yellow and everyone's wearing blue, or like that's so dumb of an example, but
a visual example.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm trying to give a visual example so you can feel how I felt because I missed the memo or I was disrespectful to someone, but I didn't know that's what we're all doing. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, I just feel plain embarrassed when I'm like, wow, my standards, my values, or what I was convicted isn't in line with what everybody else is doing. And I've made a fool of myself, or I have embarrassed myself, or I've conducted myself like, or even like morally, for instance. I don't know.
Is it
sounds
kind of
really
like
deep, but
now people think I don't care about this, but I do.
yeah.
So now it's like
Or
people are sort of perceiving your image incorrectly according to you, but now like your external image is out of sync or something.
yeah. Like my friends still know my character and understand.
Right.
But like on a bigger scale, it's like, wow, she's a jerk. And she just perpetuates, what's wrong with America or something. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. And
Yeah,
I just burped or something.
That's part of why I feel more comfortable like telling like off-color jokes with people that I'm more comfortable with. That's like not the right way to say it, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
some edgier jokes or something like that. Like
in a smaller
you need to kind of know like people are going to be like, this isn't like representative of my character. I'm just like making a joke here. So that's the kind of thing I feel like I naturally feel out a little bit.
Right. And then I don't know. I hate to bring up a personal example too, because first of all, I love my mom. She's great. She's an FEEJ. She is. And there are times where she will want to decide her conversation that's really good and really raw. And then I'll start pulling out like personal things that I feel about other people, and it's a little bit of gossip, right? But I'm like realizing things as I'm processing it. And then she'll be like, "Ooh, this is getting real negative," and she'll want to bring it up a notch. And I'm like, "Oh, but I felt really shamed by her wanting to bring up the vibe because I felt like I am now bad for being negative." Does that make sense to people? Am I making sense? I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
A lot of
100,
Yeah.
100% makes sense.
I've noticed that in my interactions with the FI or with like demon FIs, FI anywhere in particular, because my feeling is like my emotions are so much better if I can stay like in a positive place. And I kind of just think, oh, of course, everyone is like that, right? But then with the FIs, it's totally different because you guys process things in a different way and you have to go down there and then come back up to process it. And like I don't know that, but now that I've noticed it, I see that all the time with the FIs. I think that's happening a lot. So yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, like us FI, sometimes we want to feel like shit. We want to feel bad. Like don't cheer us up, you're being insulting.
Yeah.
Apologies on behalf of all of the FEs.
Yeah.
No, but we love you. And we need that bring up times as well. We need that. We need you to bring us up as well.
Because Effie is like, okay, we got this negative emotion. Let's try this instead.
Yeah.
Like let's keep moving.
But also like a selfish part is it's like if someone else is that sad, like I can kind of feel it. Like I can feel it. Like I don't get to stay light if they're that sad. Like it affects me too. So selfishly, it's like I want to bring you up a little bit so that way I don't feel so bad.
So that you're not too dark. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me too. Yeah, I get that. And I think what I've seen is that FE has a harder time pulling out of it. When you're affected by everybody, at times it's like, okay, this is stretching. I don't know how to word it.
I get
what the vibe I get.
Pulling out of like, when the environment is bad, like distancing yourself from that bad environment, you mean? Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, totally. Because sometimes when I'm like around some of the TEs and they'll like let out their like negative FI and they're in their own little like place, just letting out their negative FI, it affects me. And then I kind of go down with them. And then when they're in a group of people, they just kind of like turn off their FI. And I'm like, whoa, wait, like what the fuck, dude? Like this is now a negative environment. And they're like, what? That had nothing to do with you. I was like, but I was there. And so my experience of the environment is just different from their experience of the environment. So yeah, I've noticed that.
It's a drive-by negative FI. you just got hit. Totally. You're like an innocent bystander that just got hit by this like brooding FI person.
You're like, well, we're all trying to recover from what just drove by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what Natalie said though about like, it's like it's selfish too, because like you're feeling bad too when this person's feeling bad.
Of course you're gonna like me saying that it's selfish.
Yeah, no, I want come on, like we gotta
We're so selfish.
You're
yeah.
Like screw you, Effie. We don't need you. Selfish.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch now to Heather. Heather and Nina, you guys also have FI. So what has your experience been like with like FE? Yeah.
Nina, you go.
Oh, true, you under the bus. Just kidding. Kind of kidding.
I can handle it in this particular moment, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm mostly thinking of one example where I really noticed. I don't know if we're still on the shame thing, but that's where my brain is. And I'm not going to get into detail, and I'm not going to get weird about it because I'm a very good, well-behaved single decider. But I had to make this really hard decision, and it kind of affected the dynamic of a local group. Not local like some random community club or something, like a small group of friends. And I made the decision that what I suspect was, sorry, there's a bug, against one person's FI, and okay, we were kind of divided into two teams. It was like two of each, and the people I suspect to be the thinkers, well, one of them I know, it's me, we're sort of on the same page and agreed about the decision that I made. And the other two, who I suspect to be feelers, did not agree. And I think one of them was FI, and they were the one who was most affected by it. And I think the other one was FE. And they weren't really on a side because they're still like friends with us both, but sort of like we had ended up splitting into pairs because that was like the natural dynamic. So when they finally came back to when they like came back to talk to me, they were like, I don't know, I think it was a little fucked up what you did. I mean, I'm not judging you. I don't think you're bad or anything. I think they're an EJ too. But they're like, I don't know, I've always kind of like been against that thing. Like, is that what you would do if it were me? Like, what about this old instance? Would you do this in the same thing, in the same way? And I'm like, I don't know, that's like completely different. But also, like, we've had the conversation before, and like I gave them all my reasons. I was like, this is why I don't believe in this specific principle. And they were like, yeah, but it's gonna mess up the dynamic. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, and I don't like that either. But first of all, the dynamic was already messed up. And second of all, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it feels like I shouldn't. I mean, it was gonna be putting my own happiness on the line, and I finally got enough validation and permission from others that I felt like I could make that decision with the principles that I agreed with and in line with what would make me feel better in the long run. And then Effie just came in, well, I suspect to be Effie, just came in and was like, I don't know, I think it's wrong. Or like, I guess I wouldn't have done that. And I had more to say, but then I got panicked about the fact that I've been talking for so long.
You're doing great. You're doing great. We're tracking.
Thank you. And yeah, it felt so, it was so frustrating because it was like, I've given you reason upon reason. You haven't given me any back, so I have no reason to agree with you. And yet you're like expecting me to base this decision on fucking what? You know?
Was it a situation where you were making a decision like for a group based on your FI and they said you should make a different decision? Was that the situation?
It wasn't for the group.
Okay, so it was just for yourself?
Yeah, but I mean, it was like a social type of decision, so
it just affected other people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially whenever FE is like kind of underdeveloped or like used as a crutch, like, and you don't work on your TI enough, it's very easy to actually end up offending more people than you end up helping. Because like you're like, your TI is small and it's like yelling like, don't do that, don't do that. But then the FE is big and it's like just like pushing someone out, like it's just pushing emotion, especially like with FI that can get a little sensitive.
Oh, Nina, were you done? Okay, so I'm like, first off, I don't like talking about my FI. Second off, I don't know my FI all that well. Third, I finally listened to all of you and like, okay, I think I have maybe something to contribute. So one of the things we do in the morning is we do a clinical flash meeting where I run that clinical flash, and they have a big personality room. She's NEFE, just huge personality. And so she's very mothering. She's almost an EJ, but she's close. So anyway, there was one point where we had done all of this work for the new partial hospitalization program and set up. I'd bust my butt, got everything done, try to think of everything through. Here's the EJ come in, right? Worked all this out to make sure that everybody was going to, be okay and everything was going to be fine. And anyway, at one point there was some a new client that was in there and he was complaining about something, but he complained about everything. And so I just kind of like, you know, kind of made a comment about that, of whatever it was. And she goes, it's okay that he has feelings. I mean, in the whole room. And I was like, so here's the thing. It wasn't so much that, so I'm sitting there thinking, well, is that shame? Because I have a hard time figuring out what shame is. And I realized, oh, okay. So if it's me feeling like a shitty person, yes. Then if that's what that was, then yes, I feel like a really crappy person at that moment, because I didn't think about this person, that it's okay for them to have these feelings. And I'm like, well, duh, of course it's okay to. So like, she's done that a couple of times in other settings where I always feel like she's the feelings police for me. So it's like, you know, and I go, oh crap. So I don't, but it's okay. Cause usually I go, you know what, it's probably good, because it makes me stop and realize, okay, I wasn't paying attention to feelings in that moment. I wasn't thinking through that. So I don't know. Is that an example of that?
I think it probably is. I will also say you shouldn't feel bad about that. I have had other FEs do that to me. Like the FEs who were like super all in on FE, when I'm like, okay, come on, dude, like mostly like quit complaining, like stop being a little bitch, like, you know, whatever. They'll be like, it's how people are allowed to have their feelings. You need to be more empathetic. I'm like, okay. So,
and then like another thing too is like people take me like super literally, and half the time I'm just kidding. I'm like, no, that was a joke. You don't have to FE this FE. Like I'm just kidding around.
So yeah, that definitely happens to me too. So don't feel bad.
But yes, to answer your question, that is shame, baby. You got it right.
I like Julia's voice when she made fun of the FE. They sound kind of like they're drunken. They're like crazy. Yeah,
so my FI voice is really deep.
Yes,
My FE voice is what? Drunk?
Yeah, like a drunkard person. Like you're making fun of.
Oh no. Now do TE. Now do TE.
You have to wait for it to arise naturally, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta wait for it. You gotta wait for it. You can't do it in command.
And then it'll involve this.
Yeah, it'll come. Just give it time. It's simmering right now. So, I just want to make a comment too. I love Nina's makeshift double deciding earlier. That was so good. That
was really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try very hard.
So who has questions for? So Natalie's done, so she already asked her question. So who wants to ask the question next for their fellow EJ?
I have a question, just to kind of set up the context, because I'm trying to understand this whole permission thing a little bit deeper, and it struck me a little bit harder this past couple of weeks. Where context here. So again, we've had a lot of shifts at the facility where I had one CEO who was a particular way, and I could kind of feel. And I'm beginning to realize, like, it's almost like I intuitively either know what people want or what they're desiring or what they're needing or whatever. And so I try to just match that. So I wanted to see kind of what you guys feel for that. And then when she left, and I was glad she left, she was not that great of a boss. And we have a new CEO in. Now I'm shifting, but there was this feeling that I have permission now to do things in the environment and like start doing, because I'm a leader, so I can make this decision. I finally feel permission to be able to do all that, because I didn't feel permission, but it wasn't expressly like stated by my previous CEO. I just knew it. And so I didn't even realize it until she was gone. And that's what I noticed so much. It's like when I'm in the presence of people, I don't realize it until they're gone. Or if someone's upset and then they stop being upset, then I go, oh, I think it takes me a while, but once that's removed, then all of a sudden I can like relax in that environment. And so now I feel like I have permission to do all these sorts of things. Whereas before it's not like it's stated out loud. It's just this vibe or this thing that you get, I think, as an EJ, of this deep-seated permission in the presence of others for certain things or not. Does that make sense? And somebody go now.
Perfectly said. Yes. It's like an unwritten, and you didn't feel like you weren't allowed until like the obstacle is removed or lessened. And you're like, oh, I'm allowed to do this. Hey.
Yeah,
Sorry, that wasn't very profound.
it's less associated with like the way you're describing is about like the vibe and the environment, and it feels like it's less associated with that. It's more associated with like, I didn't even know that I wanted to do that until someone gave me permission and I started doing that. And then, whoa, look at that. Now I have permission to do it. And that's awesome because I wanted to do it. So it's like, I didn't know until like almost someone like pushed me to do it. And then I started doing it and it was like, oh, look at this. So yeah, it feels less like vibey, but more like when I'm actually pushed to do something, then that's when I feel like, oh shit, now I have permission and I can continue doing this.
Well, even permission, like, yes, permission, because I agree with that, but like, also it's more or less thinking like consistently about like how it's going to affect the other people around you. You know what I mean? So it's like of course, no one is giving me permission, and of course they're not allowing me permission. Like, you know what I mean? But it's just like, what if what I do affects you in XYZ way? My dogs.
Yeah. The permission thing is it's funny because I was talking to another EJ just a few days ago, and I think he was joking, or maybe he's not joking because we're talking about books. So I don't know if you guys know Xavier. So hi to you if you're watching this. But anyway, so he's like an ESTJ jumper. And then he's like, Kendrick, are you giving me permission to read this book? I'm like, what? Like, dude, you can do whatever you want. Like, why are you asking me? You know? So I don't know. I just thought that was like something that's popped up in my head just recently. I was like, oh,
He wasn't joking.
I don't know if it's not. I don't know. Cause like I'm a DE like you guys, but I'm double decider. So it's like if I want to read something, I'll just read it. Like I'm not gonna ask someone for permission or, but it's interesting with you guys. It's like the permission thing is super like
yeah. There's like parameters we give ourselves or we think we're not allowed. And it's like, no one said that. No one told us we were not allowed to do that.
Like Heather said, it's like tied to the person.
Sorry, say again.
Sorry.
I was going to say it's kind of tied to the person because you establish some like level of like mirroring. You're like mirroring the person back, and like if you're going to do something different, that's like you asserting your DI because you're going to change where on the spectrum you guys are meeting. Like you're gonna have to meet somewhere else now because you decided to do something. So you need to have like a good reason, justification, whatever you want to call it, DI, to explain why they need to move to meet what you decided to change. So that's like where that DE pattern comes in, because it's like, oh, I'm stuck here now because I'm responsible to know where we are on the spectrum of whatever, and I'm not allowed to move for myself, so I'm just like stuck in this endless loop, and just like to give yourself permission to actually do that and then come back and shift things, right? And have that
sorry, I just to clarify, are you talking about your position in the tribe? Like if you do a DI decision, your position, it like messes everything up? Like is that?
Well, I'm talking about like in a relationship between two people, you're kind of aligning on something, right? Like you have your roles and you're kind of like mirroring those back and forth to each other in some way. And like if you were to change that and you're not like directly mirroring anymore, somebody needs to shift to like be in alignment again, right? So like if you're moving and you're not in alignment anymore, and that's like our responsibility to make sure that the tribe is aligned, that's not allowed. So then you need to let
as a blast.
So well explained. Sorry, go ahead, Nina.
I was just saying that's a bitch as a blast.
Yeah.
I felt like he was echoing what Nina was saying about her situation, where it's like, okay, I'm choosing to change the dance, and that means that you tribe members also have to switch. And it causes friction. That's part of the EJ problem, is like, I'm going to do this thing for myself, and it will stir up the tribe in some way.
Yeah.
Everybody's mad at me for doing what I want, It's like,
yes.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the permission thing is also like so unconscious because it's like, I don't know that I even wanted permission for that thing until I'm actually doing it. And it's like, oh, like I wish I just knew this yesterday, because it it wasn't even an anything thing, you know, there was nothing actually holding me back, except that it was like so unconscious that I didn't know that I wanted permission. I wish I had just known before, and then I would have done it. But because it was so unconscious, it's like I don't even know until, like I said, yeah, it smacks me in the face. Right. So I think that's the really frustrating part for me.
I kind of think of like trying to do my DI as like just walking into the forest. Like I don't know where I'm going. Like it's just, like it just feels like too much to try and do. So it's like just mirroring is like kind of my home base. Like that makes sense. Like to just like go off and like do my own thing and not like know what value I'm bringing back. It's just like I'm going into the forest and I don't know what I'm looking for.
Like, right. Yeah, and it sucks because it's immature. So it's like, what if I don't end up liking it? And then everyone's upset. Like, I'm just going through the forest. Oh, turns out I don't like this at all. That's and I just stirred everything up.
That's the feminine FI though, for sure, Savannah. Yeah. It's like, I don't even know next week if I'm going to like this until I actually get there. And then I find I don't like it and I feel like crap because I drove you through all this. And it's like, oh crap, I didn't even like that. Sorry.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me to hear all of you guys kind of talk about like this back and forth dance between how your decisions affect other people and like you're worried about how your decisions affect other people. I feel like I don't pay attention to that as much. I don't even know, like I'm wondering if that's an infodom energy dom thing as well. Cause like I kind of have some awareness of it, but even when you guys are talking about it, it's hard for me to like really, I'm having trouble like really placing exactly what that means, you know?
Yeah, I think that like we've like elaborated unintentionally on what I was trying to ask with the start of my question. Like we've come a full circle of like,
Wait, what was your question originally? I forgot.
Oh,
and I predicted it.
Like, is she observery because she's infodom because of things like this?
That one.
Yeah.
I
wonder if I might be
decider.
I wonder if I might be missing this like dance of the tribe that you guys are talking about, that, ooh, I do something and then that influences the tribe. So I need to pay attention to the things that I do because that's going to affect other people. I think I might be like way unconscious to that because I kind of know what you guys are talking about, but I'm sure as hell not paying attention to it.
But are you doing that with the info? Like, is that how you dance with the information?
The way I view the information is like, yes, I'm dancing with information, just all aspects of information, but I'm wondering if I'm really dancing a lot with like how other people view me and how I view other people. Because I know that when I approach someone and I kind of indicate that to them that like I have some perspective of them, that then changes their perspective of me and that changes our relationship. And then I feel like I'm kind of obligated to make sure that we're kind of on the same page in how we interact, how we view each other.
Intellectually.
Things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Wow. I am learning so much. Okay.
So like, this was one thing that I wanted to ask you, Maggie, earlier that I was just kind of thinking about. So maybe since we've come full circle, I'll ask you now. Since you're similar to me, but you know, like any energy dom, I feel like when I want to know, so I'm constantly thinking about how other people view me, right? Other people's perspectives of me. And when I do that, I'm you know, basically kind of asking people directly, but I'm also kind of using my FE to kind of like ping other people and see if I can kind of like see how they view me and then kind of understand how I view them. And if I kind of think that someone like views me differently than I thought, then like I'll just straight up like have a conversation with them and like info it out basically. Do you feel like you do that with your FE-NE to try to like get the emotions out there with people?
No, I don't think, well, it depends like whether the person is like comfortable with their emotions to even talk about it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like if somebody, yeah, like I've definitely had like even more recently, I've had situations where I was just like, oh, wow, that was not at all. They perceived me very differently than how I thought. I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of depends on like the context too. Cause like, you know, friends versus coworkers, can you really cross? Is it worthwhile crossing that line? You know,
Yeah.
You don't want like it, you know, yeah, like, is there going to be any benefit to me actually having this discussion with them? Because if they're dead set in their ways, then like they're not going to change. So, and there's not much I can do about it. I'm not going to be able to change their perspective. Then, okay, I can control myself and I can do what I can to either demonstrate that their perspective of me is wrong or different, or, that they can make up their mind later. Or, there's nothing I can do. So
See, that's the page that I'm on. It's like there's nothing I can really do or say to you that's like gonna change your mind. So like instead I would just rather spend the attention on myself. But like I literally lost my mind whenever you said that you would have a conversation with people about that. And I was like, that's an option? Like you could just have a conversation with people about like, oh, you misinterpreted that? Like, okay, that sounds great. Good for you.
Is that an SI thing then? No, I don't know.
No, I think it's an infodom thing because they're so willing to exchange information, as to where me, I'm like, I don't have the energy for this. Like, I'm just gonna give up. Whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely
like-
do that though.
What?
I definitely relate to that as well. I relate to both the energy storm stories and the story that you're telling, Julia. I have conversations with that, like about that all the time. Mostly with one person who admittedly I do think is an infodom, but it comes very naturally to me personally.
Well, I feel like I'm waiting
I
on
work
some-
to.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you can. That's fine.
Okay, I'll make it quick, but I feel like I'm like constantly Kendrick. Okay. Okay, so I feel like I'm constantly waiting on someone to ask me like what I think or how I feel. Like I would never like go out of my way to spark that conversation on my own.
yeah, totally.
I guess
I will under certain contexts. Like I think Maggie, you were talking about, if it's like a coworker or someone you work with, like it depends on whether it's worthwhile or not. I feel like I'm constantly gauging the payoff of where's the tipping point where it's going to be worthwhile, not worthwhile. There's a tipping point there, and there's a time where it's worth it to go for it, and there's a time when it's not worth it, because having that conversation is going to then change their perspective in some way, right? So I'm constantly kind of gauging when does it make sense to jump in and do that, and when does it not, because it's context dependent. But I'm thinking about that a lot. Gauging that.
Oh, sorry.
No, gauging. Yeah, I was just finishing.
Well, so I'm curious, like, so I'm still decently new at trying to put together my definitions for this whole system, right? And I'm trying to get a better sense of what consume is. I'm working more with the idea lately that like it has more to do with basically what your brand is to others, more or less, and like how others perceive you, right? And so for me, if it's consume low, and if that's true, then like that is just something I don't actively check,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm actually so that will be my question for the day to the panel. Where is your consume, and does that fit true?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure. So like, so is this true that like consume is, you're very aware as to how you come across to others?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay,
Like our
so
pack
I
of
know
things.
I've been talking a lot, but I'll jump in here. So I kind of wonder if this is, because, okay, so a lot of people in the community have been trying to understand this info energy dom coin thing recently, right? And one of the ideas that have come up is that a lot of the info doms put this facade, forth to people, and they like have this like facade of who they are, and they're not really showing them their true selves, but they're like showing an image of themselves that they want to portray to people. And I've actually thought about this a lot, and I can't say whether it's consume or blast, but it almost feels like it's like consume and blast together, almost like create some kind of like image that you're putting forth towards people. But I'll say as an infodom, I think about that a lot. And I've compared myself to like the IPs who are sleep last, which is, they're single deciders, so they're also worried about how the tribe views them. Infodom, so they're kind of doing the facade thing, but also sleep last, so they're the same as me. And the IPs have like a way more of a like an image that they're portraying. So it's not really the same as like the DI image, but I'm still thinking about it a lot. And it's almost like I feel like I'm thinking about how someone views me, and I'm aware that like almost like I should put some sort of DI image forth, probably the type of thing that the IPs are doing that like I kind of can't do. And I'm like pinging off of other people to try to like almost figure out what that should be a little bit, because it's like a little bit like wonky and weird with me, but I'm like thinking about it. So I don't know if it's consume or not, but I'll say I think about that and I'm aware of it. And I wonder if it's a balance between a blast and a consume thing. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think like didn't they show a video of Uzair talking about that, like the ISTP guy, like the play last? Like
There's been a few people who have talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that maybe you're onto something. I wish we had another info dominant like EJ to do that.
Well, you're an info dom, Kendra.
I'm a double decider though, so I can just like I don't need to put up a
Yeah.
facade. I can just be me, and people don't like it. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's not my problem. But like, you know, it's like so it's not quite the same. So but it would be good to see another EJ talk about it. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead, guys.
Do the energy doms think about that? Are you guys aware of that?
So I have a strong desire to be respected, and that is why I try to project what Infodom wants to hear. Like I will figure out, okay, how do I connect with this person? And if they want more information, then I pull out from my, either it's limited knowledge or vast knowledge, depending on the topic. And I will try to I'll try to win them over either intellectually or find out what they're valuing. So a lot of times how I present myself, and that is my SF, is trying to appeal to a certain type of person that I would imagine would be who I see and who I would respect, or who would it's more to do with, I'm not trying to appeal to their emotions or their values necessarily, but I want to win them over so that they respect me and find me to be a valuable resource and trustworthy, I guess.
But I would
don't know if
ask
that makes
how,
sense.
sorry, how are you trying to, so you said you're trying to win them over by kind of doing something to what I'm wondering is, are you trying to win them over by your image, or are you trying to win them over by like something in the real world that you're doing?
Depends on the person. I would like read them. I would ask questions. I would play a little bit, and whatever I pinged back, then I would respond. And then if they're, I think I can kind of point out like, okay, they value more information. So now I'm gonna pull out what I've consumed, right? Because I've consumed what people might talk about, so that we can talk about it on a base level that isn't like deep, but enough to like earn their respect. And if I keep seeing them, I don't know. Now I'm just kind of, there's too many examples in my head, but for instance, if it was an infodom person and I figured out these are points of interest, I want to read more about those things, and then I can gain their respect and be valuable to them, or be someone who they see as a resource, you know? Like I want to be someone invaluable, you know? Like someone people need on their team, or someone who they need to follow, you know? Like I want to win them over. I want to gather people who support me or look to me as a leader. And I project what I think will appeal to them through how I dress, what I look like, what I read, and what I might like joke about.
Okay.
For me, I'm not doing it by image. I'm doing it by action. So it's going to be, if I'm going to earn something, it's going to be by actions that I do for you, or things that it's more on that probably than image.
Because Savannah, it sounds like you're almost like a mixture of both. So Heather, you're saying you want to win people over by doing actions. And Savannah, what you said almost sounds like an amalgamation, you know, like kind of both kind of at once, maybe.
Whatever's needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if the animals make a difference in that, or the fact that you're double extroverted, or I don't know.
I was raised by FETIs too. So the TE was not needed a lot of times. So I had to put it to the side.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the animals also make sense because you're play and then Heather is blast. So it's like, you know.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, you're more.
So I like hesitate, read, questions. And then
you would be more flexible. Like you have multiple ways to please the tribe. Well, Heather is like one way, you know, it's like, you know, so.
And she's more effective probably.
But also SE, which is like, I would almost argue that SE is maybe even like the most image conscious, you know, because it's sensory on the spectrum. So it's literally, oh gosh, and you're visual. So it's like literally things that you're saying. Yeah. Like the way that you actually physically present your physical self. Whereas my physical self, for both Heather and I, my physical self is very introverted. It's like, why are you carrying
that? 100%. Yeah, I think that makes a difference. Yeah.
Well, Natalie also has SE. So do you relate to that? Like the presentation of your appearance?
Yeah. Like, sorry, they're playing in the background, but I'll try to talk over the chaos, even though it's getting on my last nerve. Okay.
Is this disrupting the way you come off?
Yes. Oh my God, you get me so well.
I wonder why.
But yeah, definitely, like I'm more action oriented in the sense that I will like roll up looking really bad, like haven't showered for the day, sweatpants and t-shirt, and get something done for someone if it means it will help them out, like going and getting my dad's dog so that way he can go out of town. But whenever I'm going somewhere new, like ready to consume something, like I have to look perfect or else I'm not going to be comfortable, because it's like that SE is like what I'm clinging on to, and I'm scared that other people are going to see as like fake or whatever. So like in order to like go all the way down to my demon of like consume and how I look, I want to make sure it's perfect, because I already know I'm going to get overwhelmed, like, so might as well look good while I'm doing it.
You do look good.
I like how she said that muted, but anyway, just kidding. Who has the questions next for the tribe? So I think is it Julia, Heather, Maggie, and Natalie have already asked questions. So I think it's Rob, Nina, and Savannah. Did you ask a question already, or not yet?
Mine was on the fly, so I don't know if it counts. I could come up with a new one.
Okay. Well, let's go with like the last individuals here.
Would that still be on the fly?
What's that?
Yeah, so she's gonna make up another one.
Okay, well, why don't we go with Nina then? Nina, do you have any questions for everyone? Oh, your volume's not working again. Your microphone. I don't hear you.
Hello?
Beep boop. Am I a robot or what?
There you go.
No, you're good.
You're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't come up with a question.
Oh no.
Oh, you become a robot again.
We heard you didn't come up with a question though.
Type it in the chat.
Oh, Nina, do you want to rejoin the group and then we can go to Rob, and then when you come back, then there you go. So Rob, take it.
So my question is, they had this video on the OP channel a while ago about like the IP personal hell being like left by the tribe. I was curious what you guys thought the EJ personal hell would be for you guys, or for EJs in general. Does anyone have an idea?
Yeah, being in a situation where I have to be the one to make the decision for myself, but it affects other people. That's my personal hell. Like if I make a decision and it only affects me, that's great. I do that all day, every day. But as soon as like I have to make a decision without pinging on anyone, knowing it's going to affect them, like that's death. It's so bad.
For me, it's not being able to create a life for myself, like going and trying to do things and then just failing at every single thing. Like I try to do something, then I fail that, try to do something, fail that, and then I can never build something. I'd say that's for me. Not being able to build a life for myself. Yeah.
I like how Julia and Natalie, it's a little bit different because like you guys are both, like the EJ, like ESFJ and ENFJ, but they're so different. How you guys describe?
Oh no, hers sounds really horrible. Hers sounds really bad. It's like if mine is like this bad, hers is like right there. So
yeah, I like how you track that too. Anyways, yeah, but I like Natalie's is like making a decision, but Julia is like building. So it's like the ST versus the NT. So it's it's kind of interesting.
Natalie, what if no one ever knows that you made that decision? But it affects them anyway.
Like they'll know it without knowing it was ever me. So it's like then it would
it's
like
kind of like the trolley
them.
problem. Like you're pulling the lever, but nobody knows you pulled the lever.
Yeah, but like that's the kind of stuff that like I would not be able to move on from. Like if you put me in that situation, I'm the one jumping in front of the train. Okay, I'm EJ saving everyone.
Rob, can you repeat the question for Nina, please? Oh, Nina, I still can't hear. Can you talk, Nina? Oh no, it's not working.
Oh no, they are having the worst technical problems.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll come back to Nina again. Does anyone want to answer Rob's question while Nina's trying to figure out the audio issue?
Yeah, I mean, something terrible and tragic happening to people I love and it being my fault. And I could have stopped it, but I didn't know until it was too late. That's what has woken me up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. I'm laughing because it's uncomfortable. Okay. Yay!
Moving on, baby.
All right.
Well,
We can hear you, but you're a robot now.
Yeah.
I just want to know what the question was.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Good.
Oh, I'm good. Okay.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah.
Rob.
So what was the question?
So OP had a video about the IP personal hell a while ago, which made me wonder like what the other personal hells were. For IPs, it was the personal hell is being left by the tribe and seen as like not trustworthy. What would it be for you as an EJ?
Yeah, Nina, you go first while your microphone's working.
Sure. See, I identified mine as a demon FI thing eventually through objective personality, but I don't know if I would have. I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind. Point is, mine is really connected to my struggle with mental and to an extent physical health. And so my biggest fear is that I'll never be happy again, basically, that I'll never experience a good life or anything close to it, or close enough even to where I could learn to be content with the negative emotions, which I still struggle with, but I've had to get more comfortable with it after all these years of hearing like, well, you're never going to have a perfect life. It's like I'm struggling for the rest of that.
Oh, you became a robot again.
I do want to say I relate to that in my like TI way of like finding the thing that I'm good at, like the thing I'm supposed to be like doing for the tribe, and yeah, like the thing that I can stick with. It's like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, kind of thing. Because I guess it's a double activated OE and Demon TI kind of working together as like which of these many things that I'm like interested in is like the thing that I need to like really settle into so that I can produce something of true long lasting value. So
right.
Yeah, I think kind of following along. Oh, I'm sorry, were you gonna go, Natalie?
Go ahead.
Just kind of follow along what Nina said. One of the things I was listening to some podcasts, and because I don't like being trapped in things at all. I don't like being trapped in negative things, especially negative emotions. And so that's a personal health for me. So I totally understand what you're saying. Like when something's negative or heavy or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to get out of this. So there was the way that this person worded it was perfect. I don't mind being in the backyard as long as the gate is open. I'm fine with that. But I need to know the gate is open. So being trapped in things like that just will send me off the edge. And then I think the other thing too, I don't know if any of the other EJs feel like this, but is belonging. I mean, that's a really, really, when I feel like I don't belong, that's very painful.
It's a big one for me as well.
Not to get too FI heavy there.
Right. Like that's kind of a drive to almost overdo the DE in terms of like finding where like your DI is valued or what have you. That's kind of what I'm talking about almost. It's like where is my specific TI like really useful to people?
For me, it's less so belonging, but worrying like I won't be loved, you know? Which I think that's kind of one and the same. When you're belonging, it's because people like you, which is kind of, a variation of love. So it feels like it's kind of the same thing. But for me, it's always like very specifically just worrying, that I won't be loved. Similar enough.
Maggie, you haven't gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny because I do relate to the IP hell that the tribe has left you. Like, that is my sense of connection that I absolutely need. And I mean, like, it's just, that the tribe doesn't like you. Like kind of like what I was saying, there's that like low level hum that like everyone hates me. Hell would be confirmation of that. And when I start to see that, like I start putting myself through my own hell, and I literally create my own hell, and it's wonderful.
They've been talking more recently about how it's like it really is just decider. Like they have like a lot of the same types of things. So
it does really seem that way. When I hear the IPs talk about their swings, it's like a DI swing.
Yeah.
No, it feels like it's the same, similar enough.
Yeah, I think we're far more similar than we are different.
Yeah, my 10-year-old's an IP, and he will be his little meltdowns are like everybody's mad at me, and no one, he thinks everyone's mad at him, and they've all come after him, and that's not reality, but that's how he perceives it. And so it's like, it's just hard because it's like something we still struggle with and have to work toward it or work through.
Because it's still just that perspective of like the tribe's not on the same page as me about this. So it's still that like alignment problem, but from a different perspective.
All right, Natalie, do you want us to jump?
Yeah. Nina, you have your question for everyone? No, you don't have a question?
The thing is, I had various questions from one of the previous topics. I didn't get very all.
Oh no! It got robotic again.
Does this work?
Yeah, it did work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's working perfectly.
Okay, I'm looking at the yellow and I can't tell when it's working and when it's not. I'll just hold my hand up like this then. Cool.
It's like TE in action right here.
To say absolutely nothing. Because I'm just basically the last time I had questions was when I was trying to NT play figure out, and I wanted to like attack you all with questions, but they're not necessarily like EJ related questions. It's more like the info and energy stuff has been bugging me lately, so I'm trying to understand that, but I don't feel like I have anything that is really, I don't know, good for this setting.
I guess
you can ask that. It's fine.
I mean, one of the things I think that would be good to talk about is maybe double observing, because like we talk about, the EJ single decider stuff a lot, but the functions that we have in the middle are kind of so powerful. How do you guys feel like the double observing plays out in your life? Do you feel like you rely heavily on it?
Absolutely. I double observe like a maniac, and sometimes I realize I have to slow it down when I'm around observers, because I'll be like, okay, this, and this, and they're like, wait, slow it down. can we do that a little slower? And I'm like, no, but back and forth. And they're like, hold on. And sometimes I think it's helpful if I can help do it for them. And then other times I'm like, oh, I'm ruining their life by just skipping over certain things. And then I do see that people will be like, how did you handle that so swiftly and quickly? And this would have been a huge, like, you know, I went to 5 different stores because I didn't want to do my demons, you know, that kind of thing. And I was just like, what if you just order it? You know, you know,
Don't say
they're just
order
like,
it online. Don't say that. We don't do that. Nope. No.
Yeah, I think it's super helpful, just creating systems and things like that, being able to quickly kind of play through the scenarios of, especially with NE, thinking through the possibilities of where things may break down and just kind of quickly coming up with solutions. And so do that quite a bit with the thing, because the thing doesn't like freak me out, so I don't mind playing with it.
For me, I rely on
Superpowers.
double observing pretty heavily, like in order to make a decision, you know, like in order to make a decision, I look at kind of the events and predict kind of how they'll play out, like, you know, all of my different options kind of, and then from there I can make a decision from that. I feel like that's where I see, I mean, I use double observing all the time, and it's hilarious to like process things with single observers, because I'm like, yo, dude, I'm like not focused on the same thing that you're focused on. They're like, but the outcome. I'm like, I don't give a shit. That's not what I'm processing. But for me, it's really useful to lean on double observing when I'm deciding something, because I can look at the kind of predicted outcome of something and be like, okay, well, at least I have the information, even if I don't know what if it's what I want. At least I have the information.
and that, yeah, I think probably, I think, okay, now they're a resource when I need that information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't really think too much about when I'm double observing. It's just kind of like, oh, maybe it'll go and work in this direction, and I try it, and it's like I just kind of chase after something, and then if it's not doesn't work, I just like feel like there's not much ego tied up in that, you know, like whether a particular path that I'm just kind of guessing on. But when it like impacts people, like kind of like what Natalie hinted at earlier, like when you're making a decision that's impacting people, that's where it like starts to weigh. But like if it's just like things, like who gives a crap? I don't know. It's like we'll change it if it's a problem. So
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like hard to talk about something I don't view that as that big of a deal. I don't know.
It's not that serious, but the people stuff.
I know.
Let's slow it
go
down.
back to talking about
And they're
that.
like,
Let's make fun of that person.
Yeah, this is like the boring segment because we're all just like, I don't know, double observe, just do it. I don't know. It's so because it's so stable. And like it's just
Yeah.
so much less drama.
On my screen, when Julia said let's make fun of those people, she pointed on my box. You know. Yeah.
This is the segment where we make fun of Kendrick.
Yeah, the double decider.
The tribe has turned on you.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Oh no, tribe hate. Gary.
What do you need us to help you double observe with, Kendrick?
What's that?
Yeah.
What do you need help with?
Whoa.
You got a bunch of double observers here.
That's personal, man. That's not go there.
EJs.
What have you not returned?
What's that?
Did you lose the receipt? What did you not return?
Have you done your taxes?
No, I'm good with that stuff actually. So,
Your taxes are due next week,
Are they-
everybody.
yeah, my issue right now is passport related. Like I'm going on vacation, and then the Canadian
Do you
government.
need your
told me-
oil change?
Yeah. No, I'm good with that too. My car's been changed. No, mine's government. Remember, I'm an EP. Government is the problem. So
Oh yeah, if
All
you,
right,
if you
right.
show up with the wrong
These are all
passport, the
actually
guy might
DMT
judge you.
things.
what's
I'm
that?
feeling very called out right now.
What's that?
I'm feeling very called out right now because these are all demon tea things. I do actually forget when I last changed my oil.
Oh,
I
yeah.
my taxes and I have a lot of shit to return that I've forgotten about. So,
I can change your oil, Julia.
okay, cool, thanks.
Do you need a tire change too? I can do that.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like good to have like an extrovert sensor friend because they notice stuff like
Yeah.
people with any they're No offense, they're like, yeah, they're not as like handy as like those guys.
Yeah, I do hate going to the shop because you take it there and you just have to like trust that this guy is not going to screw you over. It's like I don't know anything about this.
Yeah,
and it's all because I don't know how to do it for myself.
Yeah.
All right, I want to ask you guys some decider questions that like might trigger you. So don't hold your. It's not going to be.
I have to go. Just kidding.
Kendrick,
right.
I've already cried once. Do you want to go for it again? We can try.
All right. So I noticed that when I talk to like deciders, and I start making like racial jokes, they get really like offended. To me, racial jokes are hilarious as hell. Like they are so funny. Like I like and the more I talk about it on like interviews like this, the more Facebook messages I get from people telling me like those kind of jokes, which is great. Yeah, keep sending me those. That's fine. Like I like those kind of jokes. And
Wait,
I make fun of all and it's not like specific towards one race. It's like I like all those racial jokes. They're all good. So, but I notice that with the single deciders, that is not good. I mean, at least not in public. Maybe behind the closed doors, it's fine. Yeah, I see Nana's agreeing. So
I don't like those jokes.
What's that?
I'm still not gonna make them, but if you're gonna do it, please do it where no one else can hear us. Like, please.
Yeah. So I'm just
be an asshole if you want, but don't be an asshole in front of other people.
Yeah.
That's how the DE sees it.
but
not saying you are one.
Yeah. Well, what is that like the apprehension with those kind of jokes for some of you, or like what is like the negative? Like if it's like it's even if it's like a person, like say I'm Asian, I make fun of my own people, and it's okay, like black people they can say the N-word, right? Because they're black. So if I'm like Chinese and I make like jokes about Chinese people, like last panel interview I made a joke about like how to blindfold Asians with a dental floss, but like
What?
Yeah, sorry guys.
It's not gonna hit the same in this group.
We're all scared that if we laugh, we're gonna be bad people.
Oh no, it's fine. You can,
Okay, I am at least. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah. So what's the apprehension? I'm just kind of curious, like because this to me is like very interesting. Like
I think Nina just said part of it for sure.
What? Oh,
yeah.
If you laugh, you think you're a bad person. Okay, is that for just FIs though? What about for TI?
Oh yeah, because what's going through my head is it's like, even though this is so dramatic and I know it's like so far skewed, but I'm like, someone somewhere along the way had to deal with a lot of pain because they were Chinese, or someone who had a bad life because of XYZ factor. If they heard that, you would just be diminishing their pain. Even though it's like extreme, like South Park cringes me out because it's like constant jokes about like stuff like that. And I'm like,
yeah,
think of all the people who suffered.
If you were in a work environment where they constantly made you a meme and made fun of you, that would be horrible. So I immediately think to that kind of situation where it's like we're rubbing in somebody's pain when it wasn't an appropriate time to joke, So that's what my mind goes to.
For me, when I think about kind of controversial subjects like racism and especially like racist jokes, my brain kind of immediately goes to more so like the long-term consequences of that and whether it's appropriate in that context, much less than whether I think it's funny, because I feel like I will think it's funny or not funny depending on whether or not it's appropriate for me to laugh. Like, sorry, MFE. But when I think about like comedy is a really powerful tool, right? And comedy can actually like release a lot of tension. So especially when talking about a topic like racism, comedy can actually sometimes be very, very valuable. So sometimes racist jokes are great if it's in the right context and if it's doing something that's kind of diffusing the tension and can kind of make people closer. Sometimes it can be a really valuable tool to use. But like Savannah said, if you're in like a work situation and someone's like making fun of someone for their race, then like that's kind of really horrible. And my perspective, my FENE kind of sees how that sort of can influence that environment long term to make that okay, and then that further kind of exacerbates a racist problem. So when I think about those jokes, I think about it from an FENE perspective and a long term kind of changing the societal viewpoint on on that topic. And so that's the perspective that I kind of think about it from, I guess.
I'll make fun of myself being a Minnesotan all day. I have all kinds of jokes. I can emphasize it more, don't you know? Oh, I made you a casserole. You know, that stuff's funny because I can joke about myself. And like, if you're joking about yourself and it's your family, I feel like that's safe and that's fine. But like, it's up to you. That's your judgment.
And Savannah's decided that that's something that she's like not offended by. Like she wants to like play into it a little bit. Like she's making that choice for herself, right?
Right.
So that's the thing. Like those kind of jokes, they create dividing lines between people, and that's like exactly what we're working to not do. We're trying to like sort of do that mirroring thing I was talking about earlier, where we're trying to meet in a common place, especially in a workplace where it's like this. We're trying to like align on some goal, right? And like creating dividing lines gets in the way of us achieving that. So that's why that stuff is particularly like discouraged in a workplace and stuff, because it's like that. No, that's not what this is about. We shouldn't be like, we want to be in alignment towards our common aims, not try and like see divisions between each other, which is what that kind of does. It goes like, oh, this is we're highlighting a difference between each other. So it's like we're pushing towards the DI side of things in a sense.
Yeah, like I mean, I use David Chappelle as an example, right? He's like a famous comedian and he's always saying racist jokes, right? And like, you know, like they say that comedy is like a fine line between being offensive and being funny. Like if you're like just like a notch above the offensive thing, and it's like the best, right?
Right, and he's doing that at a comedy show though, right? Like I don't know what, but I'm not sure what kind of what people are telling you, but like if you just like tell a joke in the middle of one of these, like it's like, where did that come from?
Well, I mean,
no one expects you to make a joke right now.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, like I mean, like, you know, like in a social setting or like let's say a comedy show is a good example, or like you're partying, you know, and people are just like, you know, shooting the shit, right? So, but I guess for the decider there is like parameters with that, like hard parameters.
Yeah.
Well, like observers is more like people, you know, it's like yeah, Natalie.
Like, I was just gonna say, think about like Chris Rock and Will Smith like last weekend.
Right.
Observer thought that this joke was okay, but Decider did not. Decider literally hit him and then went and yelled. Like, because like it was like kind of like a protection of not just like his own wife, Will Smith's wife, but like also like, what about future jokes that could be made about this right now? Like, are we always gonna accept that, or where does the line get drawn?
Right.
Yeah. I think I agree with what Julia was saying. It does depend on the context. So in this context, that did not pan out. But I think with more controversial topics, it's a riskier gamble. And it may when it pans out, man, it pans out big time. But if it doesn't, like you will eat it for a while. So, but like I find for myself personally, like I don't get offended by those jokes. Like I love comedy, so like I like love hearing the spectrum of comedy, but yeah, when it doesn't come off well, it's just like it's got that extra cringe that I think Savannah was touching about, like, oh, you know, like you could have thought about that one a little bit more, because like the cost is a bit higher for that type of joke.
Well, and I think too, sometimes it's who the person is, because I mean, we're judgers over here too, besides deciders. But like if it's a comedian, I'm laughing or something. But if it's someone who I know is racist or acts that way in a certain way, and that joke is coming out of their mouth, then I'm probably going to be not so much offended for me, but maybe offended we're the masters of being offended for other people. So I'd be offended for other people.
Gotcha. That makes sense too. Like, yeah, I guess if you know the person that's telling the joke is not a racist, they're just like being an idiot, then, you know, it's different when someone's like, because you can tell obviously when someone's a racist and when someone's being a moron, right? So there's like a big difference. I want to ask another decider question here. So I'm just gonna like throw this out here. Do you feel like as an EJ that you really identify with your racial background? Is that something that you like it's like really important to you or not? No. Nina.
Nope. Final answer. No, I don't care about my racial background.
Like you're like you're like like you could be like part British or part whatever. Like that doesn't.
Yeah. It just doesn't like I don't care. Like either way, I ended up here in this place.
Right.
I mean, my SI does love the history of it. I love to know the ancestry of it. So the SI for me does.
But like so I noticed like not all deciders do this, of course, but like so some deciders, for example, they say they take the 23andMe test, they find out, oh, I'm 25% Ukrainian, 50% British, and 25% Swedish, and then now they'll go to all those countries to like understand more about the roots and stuff. Is that something that like is appealing to you as like an EJ? No, yes, or is that like a fighting? I don't know.
I kind of think a big part of that. This might be influenced by the fact that my racial and ethnic background is 50 shades of white. But I think a lot of that is because, at least in America, for people who have been like born and raised here,
You're making my robot again.
She's saying we don't have as much like culture because we were raised in the US and
good yet? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect. Yes. really good.
Okay. So I feel like I would absolutely have the instinct to travel to places and try to learn more about my roots because I have a desire for community. So I would, and of course, identity as well. And so I would want to be like, oh, community. I want to integrate that into my identity. And now I have like there's more to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point.
I will say, to actually elaborate on my answer, like I just have this ultimate desire to remain anonymous. Like I don't want anyone to know who I am, and therefore if you know my history, like screw off. Like I don't want you to know that because I don't want to know that. So like I don't know, like I just don't want to be found out. Like I want to just like remain a mystery. So that, because like I feel like whenever people discover more about me, it's like there's more chance for error, and it's like I can't stay in control of it. So it's like, what if you find something out about me that I didn't know? Like my family is from like, I don't know, like Peru. And then it's like, okay, well, if you know that, like what else do you know about me? Like I'm not in control anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not anonymous, and I hate that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Natalie. And I will also add to that, there's sometimes where I feel like just annoyed that like your roots, your family roots, like your racial background or not, just like where you come from, like influences who you are. And it's like, it just like, it kind of annoys me. So I feel like I have no urge to identify with that. And if I could be a totally free agent and not identify with that, if that were an option, I would choose that option.
I do think it is cool that other people want to explore that and understand that about themselves. But like Nina was saying, I probably just identify more with being Minnesotan, and that's part of my culture. I did have a great grandma who grew up on the reservation in Choctaw, Oklahoma, and I have a card, and I am a member of the Choctaw tribe, but it's not part of my daily life, and I'm not a special snowflake because of it. I am just one of many people who live in the United States who have a lot of different cultures in different states, So I don't know. I guess I don't find those facts as entertaining because I feel like who isn't something surprising every so often? Like, tell me more about your Latin culture and can I learn Spanish? You know what I mean?
We're not really missing information.
Yeah.
I would say in general, this seems like more of an observer thing to me. Like having that sense of like what your label is or something, but it also feels like kind of a privileged thing that like as a white person, it doesn't really matter as much what my previous culture is. So
I agree.
maybe it's like an ENTP thing then, like kind of what they talk about in class, because for me, it's not a big deal, but it could be like an SI, something to do with SI.
Might be like an SI thing.
Yeah. It could. Yeah.
But that does seem like it is an observer thing, which is interesting to me. I wouldn't automatically peg it as an observer thing. But as I've like heard people kind of talk about identifying with their background, anecdotally, it does seem to be an observer thing. I guess.
Well, because like, background is like a category versus like aligning with just like your family is like those like with people.
Yeah, it's a good point.
People, so.
Sometimes it does give context for people, but I just feel like for me, it doesn't give you any context.
Right.
Yeah. I think for
I'm
me,
a quarter Hungarian. Like, does that mean anything to anybody?
So
oh my God, you totally different now, Rob. Everything is.
What were you saying, Maggie?
I was just gonna say, yeah, like I've never done like any of the like 23andMe tests, like, because I agree with Natalie, like you can know less information about me, but I do like the idea of like whatever the background was, because I kind of like hearing more of the storytelling. So like I'm Canadian, so hearing like the idea that people lived in this cold environment with no electricity, no Gore-Tex, Sorel shoes, like how did you do that?
Fur trade. Yeah,
I like a good story about people.
Really interesting, and I like that narrative. It's more entertainment than it is like an identity thing, you know?
Yeah, Nina, you gotta do that thing. Yeah. I can't hear you. So I think
Is it robot again?
There we go.
Oh, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually feel like there is, or at least can be, a lot of identity about this. At least as to the question of whiteness and weirdness. I don't know how much this will apply to this particular crowd, but as someone who runs in more progressive circles, especially, I do have a fear actually of identifying too much as white, because like there's a lot of talk about how like the only real uniting concept of whiteness versus like any given ethnic group from a country is oppression. And so after hearing that, I'm now overthinking, like, should I because I used to be like going a little awkwardly over the top, like making jokes about myself being white at my own expense, more like. And now it's like, if I am constantly like identifying myself as white, I thought I was trying to acknowledge like, my privilege or whatever. And now it's like, now I'm afraid that I'm identifying myself with a concept that shouldn't exist. I've always assumed it would be deciders that got real weird about race and laughing at race jokes and everything. And probably carried a lot of white guilt in the case of white ones. I don't know about you.
It almost feels like there's a difference between like racism, which is kind of a judgment thing, and identifying with your racial ethnic background. Kind of like Rob said, that's almost like a category that labels you, that is almost like an information thing, whereas like making a racist joke is pretty much like a judgment thing, right? That's like, oh, I judge you as this type of a person because of basically the way you look. So I almost wonder if those are two separate things, one of which is more decidary and one of which is, anecdotally kind of maybe more observery. I don't know.
Okay. I have a question about blood relations versus non-blood relations for you guys. As
I have a question about blood.
Yeah. No, not like what blood type you are, but like
I'm a mom, so there's that too.
What's that?
Never mind.
Oh, okay.
She got a baby. She got a kid.
So like when it comes to like blood relations, as an EJ, do you feel like it's super important to maintain relationship with people that it's the same blood relationship as you, but like let's say let's say someone introduced someone, let's say you took your DNA test and then you found out you have like a missing half brother or something, or like you have like a long lost sister or something, and then so like you're basically, just because you're blood related to someone, do you feel like responsible or an obligation to maintain a relationship with a person, or is that something that is not a big deal? Like it's like whoever you I guess vibe with, or you prefer, or you like.
I probably would do that. Like if I took, with your example, like a, blood test and I found out I had long lost relative, I probably would like reach out to them and try to contact them. So like I probably would go and do that, but I wouldn't necessarily think it was super important. And if maybe I did contact them and they like didn't want to talk to me, I'd be like, oh, well, okay, fine, whatever. I don't think I'd have any like weirdness about it, nor would I think it's like so, oh my God, insanely important. It's more like that would be interesting. And like I am close with my blood related family. So like I'm close with my blood relatives, but it's also I don't know.
Wait,
I don't have any reasons why it's really important.
Wait, let me rephrase the question. So like let's say the blood relative is someone really close to you, like it's like your parents or someone like that's supposed to be close to you. And let's say, a lot of people don't have relationship with parents is always complicated, right? So what if you're in bad terms with your parents? Do you feel obligated that you have to maintain that relationship, or do you feel like it's not as important?
I will say yes. And for me personally, I don't feel like it has anything to do with genetic relation. I think it has more to do with the fact that my family is the one who has been influencing me in my entire life. They're the ones who saw me when I was born. And so they've been in my life. But if I found someone who was a blood relative who wasn't in my life, then they would just be another person. There might be some weirdness around, like if say, I found out that like I had a dad who didn't want me when I was a baby or something, then there might be some weirdness about like, oh, he made the decision that he didn't like me, like whatever. But they wouldn't have anything to do with blood. It would have to do with that they were in my life and the decision that they have made based on me and what they think of me. It wouldn't have anything to do with blood. It'd have to do with spending time with the tribe.
Yeah, and I feel like reciprocity is a big thing for DE. So it's like, if I'm giving out energy, I want it to be reciprocated. So for a lot of people, they've grown up with their family and continue on with that reciprocity. So asking us isn't really the best, like, I guess, data pool, because like, I don't know, it just maybe ask some people who don't, I don't know. But no, like if there was someone blood that I've never talked to, like I wouldn't reach out to them. I'd be like, you've lived a great life without me. You don't need me now. Like
for me, it depends how rich and old they are.
That's a big deal.
That's a good one.
For me, it's like I would want to know if it was like some relative vaguely close but not too close on 23andMe or something. I would want to know out of curiosity. If it was like a long lost parent, I would want to know at the very least because genetic reasons.
Robot-y.
Yeah.
Does the robot thing have anything?
It's still a robot. He's still a robot. I think Natalie's like trying to tell you how to do it, like how to position your hands.
Yeah, let me double masculine STU. So like whenever you've got a continuous right there and then cup inward, it's reverberating up into your microphone up there. So like if you like make sure that your hands are touching and then talk.
Yeah, I understand.
It's fine. It's good. It's good.
Oh,
I
sorry.
understand the principle. I was just confused about the robotic thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not gonna go off as much as I could, but my masculine FI has a lot of feelings about family and blood and even growing up together. But the short answer is no, I don't feel strong ties to blood relations, and I don't feel strong ties to my family just because we grew up together.
Oh no, you got a robot again, or
Are we testing? Hello?
yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Good.
You're back.
So yeah, I've just never been someone who like I've never, my identity has never had any part of my family. And I guess the big thing is I was always searching for community outside of my family. And I never felt like my family was a community. And I think
part of that might have been because like of the relative introversion of my parents, and also just probably a lack of vibing with some of my relatives, but I just always wanted to find specifically a tribe outside of them because they did not feel like my tribe. And I have very strong feelings about like that anyone should be allowed to leave any group for any reason.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be you and I are the two ESTJs, but I 100% resonate. There's nothing in me that feels obligated or feels like I have to be connected because of blood. It's other factors. So I agree with you. I'm right there with you, Nina.
What factors are they for you?
I can't remember. People keep moving on the screen, so it's throwing my sensory off. So I'm like, wait, who was? Because they were right there a second ago, and now they've moved. So I don't remember who it was, but I think for me, just the reciprocity. Maybe Natalie, I think you were talking about that, and Julie, I can't remember if you're talking about too, but just the sense of, do I feel like a sense of belonging with them? It's probably different FI factors. Is there closeness? Is there a connection? I mean, blood relative doesn't mean anything to me. Just because we're blood, that means nothing. It's what is the relationship like?
Mm-hmm. I agree with a lot of these same perspectives. I positionally in my family, I am one of the oldest. I'm the oldest in my immediate family, and sorry, there's some chaos happening. And then I'm one of the oldest cousins. So I felt like I took a responsibility to make everyone feel important, loved, welcomed, and I want to maintain relationships with people who I'm blood related to because I love them and I care about them, not because they are my blood relatives. I do want to maintain really good relationships, partly just because I love the people that have been brought in my life. And I do feel like I've been privileged to have wonderful people in my life. Now, that doesn't mean that I have an obligation if they do become toxic or are harmful. There are times where you need to set a boundary as well.
Okay, so
there you go.
I can see like a big difference between the FI and TI on like how you guys see this. It's quite interesting. There is like a big difference actually. But
what are you seeing it as?
What's that?
Well, what's the difference?
What are you seeing? Yeah, like
yeah, what's so obvious to you?
Give us the overview.
Yes.
Oh, no, it just seems like for the FI, it's like with FE, there's more like with your parents, for example, like they've raised you, they've taken care of you, so there is more. You feel like you need to reciprocate and like be a good, child to that person or be a good person to that person. But with the FI, if the parents becomes bad later on, you're like, cut, go away. I can do my own thing and find my own tribe, So yeah, that's like the divide that I'm seeing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've noticed that anecdotally as well.
Yeah.
I think from a demon TI perspective, there's like a respect in like what the parents did in terms of like raising you.
Yeah.
It's like you can
hard.
Yeah. Right. Like
Wow,
I can see like all the
that.
work that went into that, right? Like there's work.
And I'm a mom now,
involved.
so I know.
And that's something that I want to respect as someone that would want my own TI to be respected, kind of thing. So
gotcha. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up the interview. So I'll just pass it real quick to everyone. So say something quick, 30 seconds to your fellow EJs, and then we'll wrap it up. So just
say something about your DI.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah, don't hold it in. You have so much to give to the world.
Yeah.
Everything that's going on inside of you needs to be shared. And they're missing out if you don't. You have a lot you can bring to the tribe from inside.
All right, thanks, Savannah. That's awesome. Next.
Let's say you have permission to go do your own things. You can do whatever cool things you want, and no one actually gives a shit about you, which is awesome. So
Oh man.
go do cool things.
That's a good one too. All right, next.
Don't listen to Julia. Everybody cares about you. You guys are great. IPs, watch it. We're coming for you.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Thanks, Kendrick. This is great.
All right, next.
Yeah, if you're an EJ and you know you're an EJ, just get a therapist. You can share your DI all you want. Just please go to therapy. Quit abusing other people.
Yeah.
I also think too, self-compassion, self-acceptance is huge. And the more that you can give it to yourself, the more really that you'll give it to other people genuinely versus kind of, faking it.
All right.
Go to therapy no matter what your type is.
Yeah, and it's probably not as bad as you think it is. Just give yourself compassion. I'd echo that.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming out and doing this panel interview and sharing more about your life as an EJ and also getting to know about your fellow EJs as well. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you guys around in the Facebook groups and chats and whatnot. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye, YouTube.